Did you think he was capable of carrying out those death threats?
At the time, no. No, I thought, oh, he's my dad. He's probably mad. He's making death threats. And I guess, now that I think about it, the closer we got to the time that we left the family home, those death threats would become, they would become more regular and they would become more severe. To be so descriptive, to tell someone that you're going to lock them in their family home and burn the house down. He didn't just turn around and say, I'm going to kill you and leave it at that. But he was very descriptive. And so, when things got to that point, I had heard him say that he's going to kill us before. But, when as I said, when the threats, got so descriptive that he was describing to us what he was going to do, that's when we actually sat down as a family. That's my sisters and my mum. When we sat down as a family and thought, well, what are our options? Because essentially what we had to do was, it was a couple of days after that threat that we decided to leave the family home. But before that, we sort of had this plan that there needs to be two people together at all times. If, my mum was not to be left alone at home, I was not to be left alone at home, and neither were my sisters. So there needs to be a minimum of two people at all times to make sure that we're all okay.
Constantly looking over your shoulder at that time. And did you involve police and do things like restraining orders and that?
So once we fled the family home, yes. Once we drew the line and said that, enough is enough, that's when we went to the police station and we reported everything. Reported everything that we had seen, over 2 decades. Anything and everything from the emotional and the financial abuse right through to the threat that we'd received and what caused us to flee our family home. And we told the police, we said, well, we've packed our bags, we're not going back.
What could they do for you?
Well, we applied for a restraining order. The restraining order was served a few weeks after we'd applied for it. You rely on lawyers and legal services to sort of guide you, through family court, through getting the restraining order. The two different processes, two different court systems, and I guess that's what we started. We started off the legal battle per se, and unfortunately, my mum didn't last to finish off any of those legal battles because 12 months after we fled the family home, my dad tracked my mum down at the convention centre, and this was on the 21st of March 2010, and he stabbed her to death in front of 300 witnesses. And so up to that point, I thought life was hard and things were difficult, and we were constantly watching over our shoulders, and we had faced poverty, we had faced homelessness, we had been isolated, there was no support around us. And I thought, things are hard. And then when my mum passed away and when my older sister and I had to sort of pick up the pieces, then you sort of think, gee, I thought life was hard before this. We don't know where to start. Your entire world just gets turned upside down.
How did you hear that she'd been killed?
So it was late at night. It was probably about 11 o'clock at night. And I remember I'd just gone to sleep and my phone rang, my mobile phone rang, and I picked up the phone. It was my sister's friend who was on the phone, and she said, come down to the convention center because your dad just stabbed your mum. And so there and then I thought, this is a dream. I know I've gone to sleep. I remember, I've gone to sleep. It's a nightmare.
You must have had nightmares similar to that before.
You do, but it's, the nightmares are vague, and the nightmares are, the nightmares didn't have, my dad with a knife. The nightmares didn't have bad news like that. The nightmares were more, shadowy or dark figures that would haunt you or chase you. That nightmare that I thought I was having was very detailed, and it was too real. So I think, it was a bit of a blur from there. The only thing I remember is I got to the convention center. I drove down there with my younger sister in the car, and I was in my tracksuit, so I ran inside. The convention center had been locked down, and I had to talk to the security and tell him who I was and why I was there. So he let me in, and when I went in, I remember I was trying to go into this room where people were, tens and hundreds of people were trying to pour out of this room. So you imagine you're trying to squeeze yourself through people to try and get to this room. And once I sort of got into the room,
What feeling did you have inside of you when you were going towards that?
you don't think I don't know what sort of a feeling I had. I wasn't thinking. I just wanted to get inside that room. I don't know what I was searching for. I don't know what I was expecting. You don't know what to expect. You don't know what you're going to come across. All I wanted to do was to go and see what was happening. I guess, because I wasn't there when the incident took place. So,
and maybe see that it wasn't real. Maybe
wanted, yeah. Maybe a part of me wanted to confirm. Is it my mum? Is it real? How bad is it? I don't know anything. Those were the only words that were given to me via the phone. So I just wanted to see it for myself. And when I saw my mum, she was literally lying down in a pool of her own blood. And so that was the sight that I saw. And so I don't know. I froze on the spot, and I remember I was trying to look for my older sister. I wondered where she was, and she wasn't. She was on the side of a room, and so I immediately went to her, and then the police came to get us, and they got us out of that room, and then I remember I had this feeling came over me that I needed to go and see my dad. So then I started questioning the police, and I said, "Where's my dad? I need to go and see him." And they said, "Well, no, you can't speak to your dad." And I remember I got very agitated with the cops on the night. And I remember I was holding onto the guy's jacket, and I said, "I need to see my dad." And so he then held on to me, and not that he pressed me against the wall, but he kind of held me firmly, and he said, "Listen, you can't see your dad," and he said, "You need to cooperate with us, otherwise we'll need to take you away."
What did you think you needed to say to him or hear from him?
Get closure?
If you got to him in that moment, what would?
Why did you do it? What the hell is the matter with you? And I was angry.
Did you want to attack him?
I'm sure if I saw him, I probably would have. And you know what? That's probably the reason why I haven't gone to see him, or why I haven't visited him. It's because I'm still angry. I'm still angry about what's happened, and I often say this when I talk about, I share my story from time to time, and one of the questions that I do get is that, what would you do, or what would you have done, and why didn't you take revenge? And I say that for me, revenge is a normal feeling. It's not it's not twisted to want revenge on someone. Now you imagine if I come to you and if I punch you on the shoulder, what would be your first reaction? Sure, you'll try and block it, but what would be would you not want to punch me back or push me back or or swear at me? That would be I would say that would be a normal reaction. If someone hurts you, you would want to hurt them back in some way,
and you want to know why. That's
right. You want to know why, and so that was probably the thing that I felt is that I wanted revenge. I wanted to hurt him. And I don't think it was a sick and twisted feeling.
No,
but it's just
anyone would have to feel that way. So natural to feel that.
It would be natural, but it's how you go about taking revenge that that defines you.
That defines you. What does it serve as well? Sadly, tremendously sadly. But what do you get from it?
So what was I going to do? Bring myself down to his level and go and hurt him or go and hurt his family? No, that wasn't what I ended up doing, and that wasn't what I was going to do long term. And so, but there and then on the night, I wanted to see him. I wanted to get an answer. I wanted to see why he did it, and sure, maybe in the process, if I had seen him, maybe I would have attacked him.